frozen in ice. This may look like a frozen palace, but it is a lighthouse covered in ice. Wild winter weather makes some lighthouses look like ice castles. So let's learn a little bit more. We'll watch the video that goes along with this.
When water freezes. Ah, water. How You can pour it, drink it, swim in it, or even run through it. That's because water is a liquid, and liquids flow and change shape. But when water freezes, brr, it turns to ice. Ice is a solid. A solid is hard and keeps its shape. In nature, we usually see ice in winter, when the air temperature drops to 32 degrees Fahrenheit or below. Water freezes into ice. The water in this lake is frozen. If the temperature stays below 32 degrees for many weeks, a thick layer of ice can form. But when the air isn't cold for that long, only a thin layer of ice might freeze on top. The water below the ice stays liquid. This can be very dangerous. These are icicles. They form bit by bit, drip by drip. As water drips off a roof or a tree branch, some drips fall to the ground, but some drips freeze. The drips start freezing on top of each other, and the icicle gets bigger and bigger. How did this tree get covered in ice? It happened during a rainstorm when it was very, very cold outside. Rain fell from the clouds as a liquid. But when the rain landed on the tree, it turned to ice. The tree was so cold that it made the water freeze. We call this freezing rain. If the weather forecast calls for freezing rain, stay inside. Everything will get covered in ice. The streets and sidewalks will be slippery. Sometimes ice falls from the clouds. We call it snow. Snow starts to form inside a cloud. A cloud is made up of tiny drops of water. Sometimes the drops of water freeze into ice crystals. Then they fall through the sky as snowflakes. You can do a lot of things with ice. You can skate on it, eat it, build with it, or even slide down it. It can be a lot of fun when water freezes.
Okay, luckily we live in Minnesota, so we have experienced this ice and freezing rain before, haven't we? Hayden?
Miss Murphy.
Yeah.
It would be so fun just to slide down the ice.
It would be fun when it's.
I would go down face first.
You would go down face first? It'd be fast, but a little dangerous too, couldn't it? Addie.
Okay.
Can we get hail?
This one?
Well, hail usually
This one
won't
I just
happen
have
in
to
the
change.
winter time, but like in the spring
So,
or fall, it
circle
could happen when it
word
rains.
that does not
Because
fit
we
the
were
pattern.
going to my grandma's. My
You.
grandma lives 4 hours away.
Which one
Yeah.
do you think doesn't
And
fit the pattern?
so my mom, we woke up really early, I think. Then we got in the car and went to her work for a couple hours.
Yeah.
Then all of a sudden
I
the
had it
alarm
too.
goes off for her name. Like, what happened? Then hail starts snowballing.
Yep, usually in the fall or spring you'll get hail, but in the winter time you'll get freezing rain or sleet, they sometimes call it too.
Then because it dent my mom's car
Yeah,
and it
okay.
broke her shield.
Yep. Corla.
Um, icicles. And my favorite
Okay, last one, Wyatt, then I'll get you in a minute, Kaden, okay? Wyatt?
Oh, that one you just spelled wrong.
two things.
Have to put a C.
One thing goes with Caden. Caden, you know how you said go face first? Imagine your face down on the ice. Oh, just going like,
That could probably maybe would really hurt your face.
And then
Like
you
the
look up.
science cues.
Okay,
No,
second thing?
Science.
I forgot to say.
Alright, maybe you'll think about it. So on here it says from spray to ice.
Unit.
Let's have LEA, would you start reading really loud in your teacher voice the first paragraph with the word for?
Fourth grade, most of the year the lighthouse is red, but in the winter it turns bright white.
Okay, so it's red, but in the winter it turns bright white. Raylan, will you continue the next paragraph really loud, please? You can hold on your mask.
The instrument. That means
The lighthouse
do it again.
sits on the shore of Lake Michigan all year. The wind blows on the lake, it sends drops of water
That's
called
right.
spray into the air. When the weather is warm, the spray splashes on
That's right.
the lighthouse and drips back into the lake.
Good job. So this lighthouse sits on Lake Michigan. So Wyatt,
Look
you
at that.
love
All these right, but
like
missed
ships
one.
and boats and all that. Can you tell your friends why do they have lighthouses?
332
What is the reason or purpose for a
One
lighthouse?
bigger than
keep-
the other? Yeah.
To keep
so you can
ships
fix
from
that one.
running
Becomes
into
bigger.
rocks.
Very
on the
good.
shore.
So that is
Nope,
why
this
we have
one.
lighthouses, is we don't want the big ships to run into rocks that are kind of maybe stuck, like sticking out a little bit
Bigger.
into the lake. And so that lighthouse
32 or
warns the
335?
ships to stay away because there could be some dangerous rocks.
Like even in
Okay.
the night.
Excellent.
So in the warm weather, like in the summer, the rain
Job.
or the water will just splash it and comes back down into the lake.
Oh, this
But
one is
in the winter, it's a little different.
199.
It can't do that. All right, Brooklyn, do you want to read?
No, I want.
Excellent.
Okay, quickly.
Okay, so that one,
Oh,
you have 200. And we have to write 44 in words.
They shine it on the rocks,
So
but they don't
40,
bump into
you
the
have to
rocks.
write 40.
The way I know it is from Paw Patrol because my brother keeps on watching it, and there was an episode that they're gonna run into a thing
You have to
because
write
it was foggy,
40.
Yeah.
and seeing it was nighttime, so.
So that's why they knew the lighthouse in that episode. Perfect example. All right.
I used to love
Could I, Keaton, would you read the next paragraph? Start with the word in the winter.
In the winter, the air is.
This is a hard word. Do you know
R.
that word?
TY.
Let's sound it out.
And then the word for.
Frigid.
No,
Everybody
yeah,
say
but
that with me.
Frigid.
Like this morning, I would say this morning when I walked out
Okay,
the door,
320.
it was frigid. So what does that mean? Very cold. Yeah, freezing, very cold. So frigid. Now why does that G say J and not G? Does anybody know? Hayden?
And 1.
No E isn't bossing around, but a I. Remember, if there's an E, I, or Y after the
Excellent.
G, it's gonna say J. Okay, my friends coming in, we're on the word frigid.
Amber is thinking of a
All right,
word
Hayden,
under
keep
the
going.
number.
The lighthouse is very cold
256.
too. The wind still blows the spray into the air.
Keep going.
But now the spray freezes
See
on
what you got on this one.
the cold surface of the lighthouse.
One more sentence, finish it up.
You're really good at math.
The
Holy cow.
surface is
Okay, write the number in expanded form. Okay, so this one.
Good, so in the winter, the water comes
You have
and
to write
sprays
it
the
like-
lighthouse. But the lighthouse is so cold that when the water
You know what
hits
expanded
the
form is?
lighthouse, it doesn't
It
all
would
go
be
back into the water. What will it
200.
do? Kaden?
freeze.
Freeze,
And then
it
you look
freezes
at the
right to
10
it.
spot,
And that's why you have all
30.
these icicles and ice outside of the lighthouse.
Yep.
All right, we're on the word slowly. Louis, would you read that, please? Really loud. Really loud.
That one you just need to
Thank
do
you,
the
Louis.
E.
Slowly many
The U
layers
and the E
of
make the E.
ice built up on the lighthouse.
Perfect.
Some of the ice melts, the water
Oh,
drips
lean
down
and mean rhyme.
and freezes again. That makes spiky icicle on the lighthouse.
Good job, Louis. So that's how we get those spiky icicles, is that the water will drip down and freeze again.
Oh, I thought that was the
Okay.
last one.
All right, last paragraph at the bottom. Let's have Brooklyn. Really loud, Brooklyn.
The lighthouse
Oh,
wouldn't
okay.
look like
Okay.
a ice castle. However, when the weather gets warm, the ice melts. The lighthouse is dry ready.
Perfect.
Good job. All right. Good job. All right, so it won't stay like this forever. When the weather gets warm, of course, it all will melt off and go back into the lake.
Okay.
Now,
we're
let's
just
look
gonna circle
at
the
this
board. You
big
don't have
picture
to
over
write them,
here,
okay?
and there's a little
So
picture
examples of
inside of it
movements.
with a
Is an
caption.
example of a
Let's
movement,
have
kick,
Bridie.
or a
Do you
book.
think you could read that first?
Yeah, so it should be
Where
kick.
this sentence start with spray?
Okay. At a concert, you would listen to
Splashes.
music or play a game.
Listen to music.
Oh yeah, see? You probably just did 3 of them.
Warm.
Water.
Good. So in the winter it freezes, but in the warm weather it just splashes on there.
Excellent.
Okay.
Loud
Now,
sounds.
Let's look down here at wild
Cover
winter
your
weather.
Or hold your
What
nose.
can other kinds of winter weather do?
Okay, we're almost
And
done.
we know all about a
People can
blizzard.
clap, play
But
to the
let's
rhythm.
have-
Rhythm is either going to
Let's see,
sleep
who
or
hasn't read
continuing
yet?
on.
It's not me.
Ellie S., would you read about a blizzard? Really loud, Ellie.
I haven't
Clap
read
your
yet.
hands to a rhythm. Okay, so clapping your music is something you can hear or touch.
Blanket.
If you cheered for a team, you would close your eyes or give a shout.
Good. So it can put a blanket of many feet of
When you
snow and it has,
understand something,
it's a
you
big
know about it,
snowstorm,
or you need
very
to
strong
learn.
winds. That's why in a
You
blizzard it's very
understand
hard
it.
to
Like, if
see.
you
So most
understand
times
your
in a
math,
blizzard
you
you
need
need
to
to stay
learn
home
about
because
it.
it's
So
dangerous
I
to
think
go out. All right,
Okay.
now here's the one sleet. Addie, would you read
know
about
about
sleet?
it if you understand it.
In the winter,
Okay, you can go out with,
tiny balls of ice
you know, you go out.
called streets full
Sleet. You say so eat.
Okay,
Sleet.
good job, Libby.
sleet fall from the sky. Sleet can make the road slippery and dangerous to drive on.
Good, good. So just like with freezing rain, the next one, sleet can also be dangerous. Sleet is like little balls. What's that? My iPad should be in there, I believe. Sorry, I didn't check it. Go check in there. Okay? Check in there, Libby. All right, now the freezing rain. This is the one I don't like because this one is very dangerous when you're driving. John, can you read about the freezing rain? Really loud, John, because you have a quiet voice. Liquid. John, don't worry about her, you worry about freezing.
Or 899, which one's bigger?
From the sky.
This is 800 and this is 900. Which number's bigger? 900 is, yep, so just do that one.
Surface. Cover.
Job. Okay, now this one is 619.
Road.
621. 1921.
Good. So freezing rain is a liquid that falls from the sky. Now sleet is not a liquid, it's tiny balls of ice. Where sleet's a liquid, and then once it hits the ground, like the road, then it turns to ice.
Oh,
And that's when it's very dangerous, because when your mom and dad are trying to drive on the road,
or less. That's
the road is now That's freezing rain. And then the last one, the wind chill. And that's what we had this morning. Up here in Minnesota, we get a lot of wind, so we get a wind chill. So it's not the actual temperature, but with the wind brings the temperature down. So that's why they call it a wind chill, okay? Can I have Kinsley, would you read about the wind chill? Start with sometimes.
Sometimes.
When?
Okay, so this one, we have
Strong.
310, 320, 330. So it looks like we're not going to 10. So 310, 315.
Feels.
So we're going
Extra.
5 more. Nope, 315,
Oh.
315.
That wind chill.
Okay, what's 5 more than
Wind
yeah,
chill. Keep going. You're doing great.
20.
Make
A
whole
Okay, so the pattern is
Feel.
like 5 more.
even
That'd be 5 more.
colder. Good job. So just like today. So we have a cold day today, but with the wind chill, I know that's not a lot of wind, but there's some. It makes our air feel colder. Like this morning, the temperature I believe was 3 degrees, but with the wind chill, it was
This one, you have
11 below zero.
Are we
And when I
going
just checked it a few minutes ago,
down
it
or
felt like
up?
10 below zero. So is it going,
Actually, no, we need to
getting
go
warmer?
Yeah.
Yep, because we want to get that wind chill to
800,
zero.
700,
And when we get it to zero, then it's safe and okay to go outside for a long period of time to play. Kinsley,
70,
Cause like when I was going to dance,
and then we're gonna go
thanks.
down.
Tyson's gonna grab it.
No, we're going,
my mom took me
yeah,
there,
we're going down
but
by
it was
10.
so icy, and then
10
somebody
less.
went without, and then I got in a car accident.
Yeah,
Less
she
is
actually
out.
did. She was actually late for dance one time and she got in a car accident.
Was it
So
in
this
town
one
or like
is
were you driving to Fairmont?
555.
Oh, it was in town.
In town, yeah, that's where it can be
55.
dangerous.
This
Where,
should
and you gotta watch
be-
for other people, so when you're driving in this bad weather,
Should be
not only do you worry about you, but you have to worry about
555.
other people around you, like,
So if you're like turning
yes. You,
turn into the sidewalk and somebody who might be on the sidewalks.
LEA.
455, 355.
But
What's one
my
more?
iPad's charging,
Okay.
but I have to go to reading course.
okay, I think, take it, I think it'll
It's at
be on
26.
paper right now. It's at 26. Second graders, I forgot to mention, this
So-
morning, a few of you said, Mrs. Murphy, my
It's
iPad didn't
100
charge last night.
less.
Guess what? I went over
100
to the
less.
back, below the desk, and the iPad cart was like not plugged in all the way. So your iPad's not charged.
Mine was at 99.
But,
Mine did.
but I plugged it back in. So tonight they all
One,
should
we're
charge.
going up by
Okay.
500, 600, 700, 800, 900, 1,000,000 more.
Okay. Okay, let's turn to the back. It says, where is the weather wild? So look at the back. We have a map here, and it says, look at the map to see what the weather was one winter day. Then answer the
It's like
question.
it's going up by 100.
So, I know earlier Lewis had found Minnesota. Lewis, come up here and show your friends where Minnesota is at.
7,
Oh, and I found one my name. It's at the top.
Minnesota. And Lewis, what do you notice about Minnesota? What does it have in the inside of it?
Cold wind.
Cold wind. So we are known for getting cold wind. How did you know that that was cold wind? Where did you look? Good. And what is that called?
Map key.
Good. We've learned that in our math skills book. So he looked in the map key and he found the cold wind.
So that's
I
going
found my
up
name.
by
Yep. All right. Now look at the map key. Who can tell me what the purple circle represents?
O-R-E.
What do you think it is, Libby? What's the purple circle? Okay.
Snow.
5,
Snow. Good job. What's the gray one?
5, 10.
And the
Ooh,
purple
this must be
circle had the
5,
snowflake,
20.
which that makes sense. That's the correct symbol.
Going
What does
5,
the gray one mean, Arya?
I can't see.
So 505, then it would be
Sweet.
500.
Sound that word out.
500.
So, two
Zero,
E's say E. So,
And it would be
eat.
5 less.
Sleet. Good job. So, sleet. So, the little tiny balls. Yep.
Perfect.
It kind of does, isn't it?
That
But
was
it's
a big
cookie
one.
is- All right, the blue one we just learned from Lewis with the wind. That's the cold wind. Now, what's the green one? Ingrid?
Warm wind.
Warm wind. So you can see Florida and California have the warm wind.
But they have snakes.
But we can see it better.
Colorado and New
Okay,
York
so
have
these.
the snow.
80.
North Dakota and Minnesota, we get the cold and the wind. And Kansas in the middle. They're in the middle of the country. So they kind of get
Okay,
that
what's this
sleet.
one? 400.
Okay?
60.
Who can find, oh, take your finger. And we haven't done math skills for a while, but we're going to get back to math skills next week.
Nope.
Show me with your finger where the compass rose is.
Oh.
Show me with your finger on the map.
970.
Can you find the compass rose? And then hold it up, just like these guys are doing. Good job! Now, hopefully, in December, when you were home doing your math skills book, and you were watching Mrs. Murphy's lessons, I talked about the compass rose, and who can tell your friends what they remember about the compass rose? What does it do? Kinsley?
It tells you like this is north.
There's north.
Oh.
That's
You
okay.
just have to
West,
finish
south,
writing team.
that's-
E-E-N.
North, east,
No,
south.
east is that one.
It's okay.
South is that
South.
one.
West.
North.
So Kinsley is right.
North.
Never eat shredded wheat. Good
That's what my
job.
sister
Or
said.
never eat
Well, this one
soggy
you just have to
waffles.
circle
Never
the
eat
E
soggy
and
waffles.
Never eat soggy worms.
Never eat soggy
Or
waffles.
never eat
Abby.
soggy mac and cheese.
Lewis's name is on it.
Yep, it's Louisiana. We don't call it Louisiana, but it's Louisiana. Okay, now, Kinsley is right. The compass rose tells us our cardinal directions, north, east, south, west. And when we get back to our math skills book next week, I'll ask you guys what your little sayings, what you came up with, and we're gonna create a compass rose. Because remember, I said we were gonna do that when we got back. So we will do that next week. All right, now, we're gonna use the math key and the compass rose to help us answer these questions. Okay? Did you have a question for that, or you want some to share?
I have new boots. Right.
I've been to Florida, that's where my aunt and uncle lives, and my sister Leila, she used to live in Florida.
She did, very cool. Hayden,
Oh, we're supposed
Me
to
and my
use
dad
the
sometimes
pad.
go to Kansas.
so you go where they get sleep.
Yeah.
Lewis.
So
North.
you could say,
Southwest.
my sister has
West.
a toy.
What?
You wanna say that?
North is where's south? South.
Right there.
You could say my sister has a
All right,
toy.
let's go on to number one. I will
My
read it.
sister has.
You
a
think,
toy.
what is the answer? In which states, so there, states is plural, so there's gonna be more than one. Which states was it snowing? New York and California, New York and Colorado, Colorado and Ohio. Raise your hand if you know this one. What do you think it could be, Libby?
Colorado.
Colorado is one of them, because I can see the purple snowflake there. What is the other one though? Is it Colorado and Ohio or Colorado and New York? What do you think, Eden?
Colorado and New York.
Yep, Colorado and New York. So that would be the second one, right? The middle one.
Giving you an answer.
Perfect. Good job, Riley. You're all done, so.
Okay, number two. Color it in, please. Number two. What was the weather in Florida? Corla, since your sister was born in Florida, right? Your sister? Can you tell me, what was the weather like in Florida? Look at the key. Look at at the key. What?
She said it was warm.
Yeah, but can you, I know what, I'm talking about, like, just looking at this. What would the weather be like? So look at Florida and then look at the key. Warm wind, good. And she probably said it was probably warm down there too. Did she say it was warm?
You should do the bad ones first and then do the good one. Bad, good.
Okay. All right, number 3. Which state had tiny balls of ice falling from the sky? And that's called sleet. Which one had that, Tyson? The tiny balls.
New York.
Well, if you look at New York, Tyson, that looks like a snowflake. And when I look at the key, it's snow. The gray one, you're right. Which one has the gray? Yep, what is that? Kansas. Kansas, so not Florida, not California, Kansas.
I thought it was red. I did on my paper first. I thought it was
Yep, that's our capital. That's where the president lives. Okay, bonus. All right, we're gonna do the bonus since we can do it. Which one of these states do you think was cold because of wind chill? They should have put Minnesota, shouldn't they? Yeah. We have California, Florida, North Dakota.
Oh, I know this one.
What do you think it is? Let's see what the color is. Oh, yes. North Dakota, just like Minnesota.
Good
We get
work.
their clean